You're listening to the Sisters in Loss podcast, a faith-based grief and loss podcast for Black women, where you will hear stories of miscarriage, infant loss, stillbirth, and infertility to learn there is a testimony in tragedy. You will learn how to heal, gain clarity, find hope and peace, and turn your pain into your purpose after loss. I'm your host, Erica M. McAfee. Welcome to episode 60 of the Sisters in Loss podcast. In today's episode, we have Mych'Iayla Alexander, who shares how being diagnosed with Poly Cystic Ovarian Syndrome and struggling with infertility led her to starting the Womb Keeper blog and community. Mych'Iayla struggled with infertility for many years and had 3 miscarriages that led her to start her blog. She's determined to support those who have struggled or are struggling with infertility and pregnancy loss. This episode is for you if you have been diagnosed infertile with polycystic ovarian syndrome, also known as PCOS. Here is Mych'Iayla Alexander. Thank you, Mych'Iayla, for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
So I'd like for our listeners for you to share a little bit about yourself and what you do.
So I'm Mych'Iayla Alexander, aka the Womb Keeper, and a little bit about myself. I'm a wife, I'm a mother, and a bonus mommy. So I have one daughter that I just gave birth to in December, and then I have 2 babies from my husband. He has 2 children, who I call my bonus babies. And then I have 3 heavenly babies, so really a total of, if you count all of them together, 6. But I really struggled with infertility for a very long time. And so as a result of that, the Lord kind of just downloaded into me, I have something for you to do, even if it doesn't look like it. Going through the losses and it's still feeling the same way, and he just gave me a purpose. He told me that I have anointed you to be able to talk to those women, those couples who have struggled with infertility and with infant and pregnancy loss, which I was shying away from all of it, but specifically the pregnancy and infant loss part, because I'm just like, Lord, I don't really want to do that. That's hard. How do you talk about that and not just crumble every time you remember your own story? And he just kept reminding me, I healed you. You've walked through this. So, I live in Arizona, Maricopa, Arizona, the desert. It's literally the desert.
Mm-hmm.
I'm about 30 minutes south of Phoenix. I am a PK, or a preacher's kid. Mm-hmm. My parents are pastors, and my husband and I work in the ministry there with the youth directors, and we are elders in the church there. So that's a little bit about me.
Awesome. Well, take us back on your journey to motherhood and share with us your infertility journey and your loss story.
So it started a very long time ago. We'll just start there. And, I had a miscarriage, and the first one I had, I didn't really know what to do. So I kept it a secret. I didn't tell anybody. Nobody knew but me and God. And it festered and it was eating me up. You almost have a sense of guilt, but in some cases you almost have a sense of shame. Like, I was created as a woman. I was created to carry children. Why can't I carry this one? Like, what is the issue? What is the problem? And so I really struggled with that. And so I took the hurt and I walked and I carried it with me. And so when I got ready to get married, and the first time, because I've been married before and that didn't end well. And so I'm now remarried to my husband, who I love dearly. When I got ready to the second time around, I had another miscarriage, and that one really stuck out to me. And I was in college, and, you don't necessarily have that in your plan at that time. But the reality of the matter was it still was a loss for me. I tried to cover it up by, I wasn't ready, or I shouldn't have been in that position or that predicament. And so here I go again, not dealing with the first one. I didn't deal with the second one. So then you get married and you're trying to have a child. And I remember going to the doctor and the doctor saying, well, obviously you getting pregnant is not the problem. It's keeping the baby that's the issue. And I was just like, ow. You know, like, okay, I think I was there for those when those babies went on to glory, you know, went on to heaven. I was there for each one of those. And so I just felt finding doctors that are sensitive about that. And it was a woman, but it was just no sensitivity there. And that really, really hurt. And so continued to try and go on, and I was diagnosed with PCOS, and they were like, you have 6 cysts on each ovary, and they're literally overtaking your ovary, and so you might not be able to have any children at all. If you do, you're probably going to have to use IVF, or you're going to have to use some other form of treatment or medication. I'm like, okay, Lord, I don't want to. I don't like needles. I don't want to be stuck and pricked. I don't want to go through any of that. And so it was very difficult for me during that time of just figuring out what is the best route here. I'm either going to trust the Lord or I'm not. Just saying, Lord, I trust you. And it's one thing to say it with your mouth, but it's another thing to mean it with your soul, your entire being, your heart. And that's what I did. I said it with my mouth, but I didn't really completely believe in my heart that he would do it. Like, I knew he would, but I didn't know he would, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And so then I went through another loss, and I was the furthest along with the last one. Her name is Brianna, and I would like to think she was a her. So I named her Brianna, and that one was very difficult for me because, again, I was the furthest along. And then I just was like, you know what, Lord, I can't. Maybe adoption is what I should look into. Maybe I should look at all these other, ways of having a child. And I went into a very dark time as I was depressed. I was very sad. I spent a lot of time covering it up because I didn't want some other people knew, but I didn't want everybody to know. I don't want anybody to know that there's this flaw, this thing that doesn't work inside of me that's supposed to work, because I'm a woman. I was created to have babies. I was created to carry them full term, deliver them, and to care for them. And so here I am again for a third time, not being able to do what I was created to do. And that just really struck something in me. And I remember just being very, very mean, very bitter. And then I went into a phase of, forget it. I don't want any kids. I'm good. I'm going to buy all the shoes I can buy. I'm going to buy all the purses I can buy. I don't need kids. I don't want them. But deep down inside, just really being eaten alive by the fact that I did. And for every baby announcement I saw, for every baby shower announcement I saw, for every gender reveal, my heart literally felt like it was breaking. And I just was like, okay, Lord, and he just reminded me, your words have power. And you're saying you don't want kids now. So when you put that out there, you have to be mindful of the words that are coming out of your mouth. Don't lose courage, don't lose faith. And so then I went back through another journey, and I tried, and it wasn't working, and it wasn't working, and it wasn't working. And I went to the doctor, and they wanted me to take medication, and I tried it. And I was on it for about a year and a half. And then the Holy Spirit, I was in my prayer time. I was meditating and I was praying in my prayer closet. And I, like it was right here, I heard Holy Spirit say to me, don't go to that next appointment. Don't go to that next appointment. Just trust me. Are you going to trust me? Will you trust me? I was just like, I'm like Peter. Yeah, I'll trust you. I'm going to walk on the water, but when I can't see clearly or when I get stuck or get afraid, I'm sinking. And so I didn't go. I called and I canceled the appointment, and I rescheduled it for a later date. And I was just like, I'm over this. I'm done. Lord, you're going to have to do this. And he said, I am going to do it, but I don't want anything else or anyone else to get the glory. And so I said, okay. And a few months after that, then I found out I was pregnant. And had I been taking that medication, that could have impacted me. And so, now I fast forward and I carried the term. And I was thankful and I praise God for that. And now everybody's like, when is baby 2 coming? I'm like, okay. it's almost like feeling like I'm going right back down that journey of, oh my goodness, okay, what if we conceive and I lose the baby? What if we conceive and I have to say, you know what, Lord, like, I've been walking through this, heal, whole, and complete, helping other women walk this journey. I don't get to go back to that place. Not because I don't get to feel, but I don't get to go back to that place because I've decided and I've made up in my mind that I trust you wholeheartedly and that I believe exactly what you said, what your word says. And I know that you're not a respecter of persons. Not to mention you've already done it for me one time before. And so just believing, but still walking the journey every day. There's not a day that goes by that I don't think about my heavenly babies. There's not a day that goes by. And I think that so often it's out of sight, out of mind for people. And some people can be very insensitive about what that feels like to experience that type of loss. I think I wrote in one of my blogs, you literally lose a part of yourself when that happens. A part of you, when that baby goes to heaven, a part of you dies. And getting that part back and trying to, how do I live life all over again in the midst of what just was death? And stopping and thinking and saying, you know what? Okay, I got to go back to the basics. I got to go back to the place where I know that I'm walking this journey and that there's a purpose for this journey. And though fear may try to meet me, just saying, no, I'm healed from that fear. I'm healed from that hurt. And I understand and know that there's something greater for me. And just truly, truly, truly believing that there's something greater for me on that side. And so I really encourage women that have experienced loss. You know, sometimes another thing that got me, if you will, is that many times I kept saying, well, my loss isn't like everybody else's. I wasn't as far along as she was, or I didn't this and I didn't that. But it doesn't change the loss that I experienced. It doesn't change the hurt that I experienced. It doesn't change the multiple times going right back through that. It happens once and you're like, oh my gosh, you never want to experience that. And then it happens again and you're like, oh gosh, okay, I didn't know if I could stand through a second time. And then it happens again and you're like, okay, I'm literally like laying face forward on the ground, but I know that I'll get back up. And just remembering that you can get back up, I think is really a good part of that journey.
Yes. Today's episode is brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook and 30-day free download by visiting audibletrial.com/Erica. I have been loving Audible. Most recently, I love listening to Angie Thomas's The Hate U Give and Darnell L. Moore's No Ashes in the Fire. If you love listening to audiobooks or are curious about what an audiobook can do to enhance your driving experience or your workout experience, visit audibletrial.com/Erica for more information. So let's talk about how you got back up. So let's talk about really how did your faith play a role in your loss? And then how was your walk with Christ after your loss?
So, my faith, it was all I had to hold on to. I felt like I didn't have anything else. But if I'm going to be very honest about the situation, it impacted my last heavenly baby. Losing her impacted me in such a way. It impacted my walk with God. And I was like, Lord, come on, like, I'm serving you. Like, I'm doing this, and I'm trying to have faith, and I'm trusting you, and you took another one from me. Like, this isn't baby number 1. This isn't baby number 2. This is number 3. But just remembering, he takes and he gives, and that's okay. Just remembering he takes and he gives, and that's okay. Then I turned it around when I remembered, like, how selfish of me to question my Heavenly Father, who's done so many things. Another thing that helped me get back up was to go to the Word, even when I didn't feel like it, and to pick out Hannah, Rachel. People don't really talk about Elizabeth, but she was older, and you had babies young in that time. That was the culture. You got married younger, you had babies young. So the fact that she was older when she had the baby, and the fact that the angel came to Zechariah and talked to him about John lets me know that there's something there. And so when I went through and I looked at all the women in the Bible, even the ones that weren't named, that struggled with infertility and infant loss and pregnancy loss, it just let me know, like, you're not alone. And they kept the faith, so can you. Like, you're gonna be okay. Doesn't feel like it right now, but get up, dust yourself off. Nobody told you had to get up and walk without any hurt or pain. You just have to get up.
Awesome. So tell us about your journey to your rainbow baby, your trying again journey, and how was your pregnancy with your rainbow baby?
Whew. So my journey getting to her was a lot of tears, because I went to doctors and I expected some of them, all of them really, to have some compassion. And I remember one particular doctor had no compassion. And I walked out of her office in tears. And I was like, I told my husband, like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm tired of people looking at me like I'm crazy, because I also, with the PCOS diagnosis, I had very irregular cycles, and they would not come, and then I would get symptoms like I was pregnant. And then I would take a pregnancy test, and obviously it would be negative. And so I'm like, what is wrong with you? Well, to a doctor, they're looking at you like you are trying to fake a pregnancy, or you're crazy. That's kind of how they look at you. They label you like that. So walking that journey was very difficult. And I remember when I found out I was pregnant with her was the day we buried my grandmother. And I was like, okay, God, all right, in your timing, everything happens in your timing. You knew that I needed to be pregnant to be able to walk through this journey, this part of life of losing her. And so, but every day, I remember having dreams where I'm talking to my husband like, I just don't want to lose her. I hope I'm okay. And Holy Spirit just being like, calm down, trust me, I got you. But that journey was very difficult. And so I read a book by Jackie Mize called Supernatural Childbirth. And that book really got me together, for lack of better, and she gives scriptures. And I just went to the word and I stood on the word. And that was how I got through, or walked through, the journey of being pregnant with her, because that was scary. I kept thinking in the back of my mind, having lost 3 babies already, I'm thinking in the back of my mind, what am I going to lose her? And God being like, you're not, and just going back to the word and standing on the word. And then she came, she's here. And I'm like, wow, like, you did it, God. You did exactly what you said you were going to do.
Mm-hmm. Amen. So tell us about the Womb Keeper and what you are doing with your blog and your website.
So the Womb Keeper was created, and the mission is so unconventional. It's not super proper English, and I'm a teacher, but it's not. We're coming for everything they being the doctors, the naysayers, the people, the enemy said we couldn't have. And the mission is to support and assist women through the journey of infertility, pregnancy loss, and infant loss, and overcoming that and walking through that. And I was, again, in prayer, and I heard the Lord literally call me the Womb Keeper. And I was like, okay, God, like, what exactly does that mean? And he explained it to me. I've anointed you. I took you through this so that your pain will be purposeful, because I wanted you to keep the wounds of the women who are trying to conceive. I anointed you to go head on with the spirit of barrenness. That is what I anointed you to do. And so shortly after, it was prophesied over me, you're going to lay hands on ladies and they're going to have babies. And I was like, oh, that's loaded. That's a lot. But I have walked in that. I was pregnant when I got that, and I walked in it. I was like, Lord, help. If you give me the courage to walk this thing out, I will walk it out knowing that I'm nothing without you, and that I can't be the womb keeper without you, Lord. You are the ultimate womb keeper. You're just allowing me to be your vessel in this time to do so, and to pray for women and lay my hands remotely and physically on their wombs, and you do the rest. So that's what Womb Keeper is. I've been doing blogs, doing posts, just encouraging women. We have a website, thewombkeeper.com. and my blogs are on there. You know, there's sections that tell a part of my story. There's, my daughter is on there. There's women encouragement. We have a support group that we're starting up, working things out with the prayer line so that we can come together and pray for half an hour for women who are on the line and off the line, and couples as well.
Awesome. I love it. So what tools or resources did you use to help you on your grief journey? I know you mentioned the Bible earlier. Are some other books or podcasts or tools that you use that you can share with our listeners?
So there's a book called Supernatural Childbirth by Jackie Mize. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you, I recommend that book to everyone. The book is older. It's older, but a lot of people don't know about it, surprisingly. Obviously, we already said the Bible. I got around women who had walked the journey, so who had experienced loss and infertility and had rainbow babies. So I specifically sought out support groups and people that I knew, because we know more people that have gone through this journey that we actually know that we know, because not everybody talks about it. So I also got with one of those women, I started journaling to know my own purpose so that I would, be able to walk the journey and know what the Lord was doing. Another tool that I used that I thought was really, really, really awesome was I began to I'm a visual person. So I made like a web map of everything I would like to experience on this journey that looked like for me. And then I read a bunch of blogs. There's different websites. I just was searching for them. And everyone I could find that lined up with my beliefs. And you read them and you take what you take and you leave what you don't need. And I did that too. So, but Jackie Mize probably was, other than the Bible, Jackie Mize is probably the biggest influence on my journey. And I just held on to that book and I read it more than one time on the journey, and I wrote in it and I cried in it, and everything I needed to do was that, and the support of other women who had actually gone through it.
So what encouraging words can you leave the mom who has experienced loss and is looking to try again?
It's kind of cliche, but if at first you don't succeed, dust yourself off and try again. Because I think that we really get discouraged when it doesn't work. And we stop, because I did. But just knowing that you can try again. And not only can you try again, but let go. We can't plan every single detail of every moment of our lives. And so when you struggle with loss or infertility, a lot of times you micromanage your life in your womb. Mm-hmm. And so that would be the words of encouragement that I would say.
Awesome. So where can we find you on social, and what's your website?
Okay, so my website is thewombkeeper.com, just straight thewombkeeper.com. And then my social media, I'm The Womb Keeper on Instagram. And then on Facebook, it is Mych'Iayla, MYCH, 'I, The Womb Keeper all together in the middle, and last name Alexander.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Mych'Iayla, for being on the podcast and sharing your story and sharing The Womb Keeper with us. And I'll make sure I link all of her social media and her website in the description box and the show notes so you all can stay in contact with her.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I pray that this show was inspirational and a blessing to you. For show notes, visit ericamcafee.com/podcast. Please join us in our offline discussions in our private Facebook group by going to sistersinloss.com. If you're listening in Apple Podcasts, please rate and subscribe to us and leave us a 5-star review. I pray that you all have a blessed week. Keep the faith, and I'll talk to you next Wednesday.